Everyone. My name is Vaishali Jha, and I am the founder and president of CareGenna. And here I am today with Armin, who is an undergrad student at UC Berkeley.
Hi, how you doing? Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm looking forward to our discussion today. So at first, I'm gonna show you guys a presentation of basically me, who I am, what I have been doing as an undergrad and as a pre-med, and then we can have the floor open for more questions.
Sounds good.
So can you see my presentation?
Yes.
Awesome. Thanks so much. So as I say, guys, my name is Armin Zavareh. I'm a student at UC Berkeley Juniors on the pre-med track. I'm a microbiology student, and this is my journey to serve. So basically, the preview of what I'm going to talk about are consisted of four things. The first one is my undergrad experience. The second one is my clinical research, and I'm going to talk about why I chose a specific path that I'm going at. The third one is my hospital and leadership experience, and last but not least, I'm going to talk about my outreach program and how we're trying to help the people in need through these outreach programs. So first, I attended two undergrads. As you can see, I was at University of Southern California up until last year, and then I transferred over to University of California, Berkeley. In both institutions, I was a pre-med and a biology student. Now, heading to the clinical aspect, I've been working in the same lab since my freshman year, and that was at UC San Diego School of Medicine Orthopedics Department. And one of the reasons I stick with my research is because we are focusing on lumbar stenosis and ways to help patients who are, suffering from this problem. And as many of people may know, lumbar stenosis is one of the most prevalent contributors to pain and disability. So, I saw our opportunity and I wanted to take it. And the fact that my lab managers were able to help me to work together to in a hybrid setting, I stick with my lab, and that's one of the reasons, one of the main focuses of me as a pre-med student and hopefully as a physician in the future. And so that before I started, I was focusing on image acquisition, image processing, literature review. But then after we started doing a hybrid version, we started mainly focusing on collecting data, make sure we writing papers, and make sure we can present these papers at different institutions. And here are two examples of my conferences. The first one was at Carmel by the Sea at AFMR institution. And the right side is the most recent one, which was at Boston at American Physical Therapy Association. And again, in both settings, we focused on lumbar stenosis, we focused on how to help patients, and we focused on how we can reduce crossover to surgery. Basically, less people getting surgery and more people being aware of these little problems that can be prevented. Now, getting to the hospitals I worked at, in the beginning, I started to work in two hospitals, Scripps Clinic and Sharp Clinic. And the main reason I started working in this institution was that this was an indirect volunteering opportunity. So what this means is that as a volunteer, you're not directly able to touch patients, but this gave me like an idea of how a work in a hospital setting is going to look like and how I can start learning from different healthcare workers and how I can use my knowledge and experience for future. So one of the things I want to mention, obviously, in the hospital, you help the patients, you help the staff transport patients with family members and everything else. But one of the things I really liked was the musical therapy aspect of Scripps Clinic. And music therapy, for people who don't know, is basically helping patients by hiring artists or musicians or just musics to not only help patients physically, but mentally. And that's one of the two things that we primarily try to focus on in medicine and even the outreach programs. Now, after I started working my two first jobs in a hospital, I transitioned to another hospital called Martin Luther King Community Hospital. And this is located in an underserved population in Los Angeles. And my one of my main things that I've been doing throughout the program was me being in a leadership position. And I've been a leader of emergency department, like department coordinator for students who are volunteers like me. So from the experiences we use, we try to train these students, especially in the undergrad setting, and we try to help them to help those in need because many people in the underserved population have the problem to have enough people to help them out. And so we just try to gather around really passionate people who are really trying to make a change to this world. And so far, I'm very proud of my team. I'm very proud of our other leaders, and I'm looking forward to continue working with them in future. Now, in terms of our community outreach program, again, for some people who don't know what that means, it's basically a club or a setting or a clinical setting where there are a bunch of undergrads or students. We gather around and we try to see what are the main problems in our area. So the first one I did was at USC when I was at USC students. It was the USC Rusky Eye Institute, and one of the main primarily goals that we had was to research different eye problems and eye diseases and use those challenges and problems to avert people who are not into medicine or people who really don't have enough data about them. For example, senior centers, high schools, maybe some medical students, and even some underserved population, people who don't know much about this eye problems and diseases, but it can be good for them to understand and how to prevent certain diseases during these hard times. And that was one of the things I was really, really proud of my team because we were able to help a lot of people and give them data, a sense of what they can do in order to prevent many of things happening in future. Now, one of the other things that I'm working on right now is HIF2 at UC Berkeley, which is a health insurance for the unhousehold. And I'm a vice president of research here. And basically, what that means is that we got different team members, different leaders in each institution, and we collect data of every, not every, but most of the homeless population in Bay Area. So we see what are some people with certain diseases and certain backgrounds. We study health disparities and we try to control it by helping them out to be aware of their problems and how they can be able to connect to the people who can actually help them. Now, a lot of people think it's impossible or very hard to match to the ones who actually need help. But by giving them direction, by giving them an idea, it actually helps them to understand that things can get easier if you know what you're doing. And it'll only get easier if you teach them what they're doing. So that's one of the main goals that we're focusing on right now. And I hope we can continue helping the people in the Bay Area in the future to come. And again, guys, this was a pretty brief explanation about what I am, what I've been working on. Again, if you guys wanted to stay in touch with me, you can either text me on LinkedIn or you can email me right here. And that's it.
Sounds good. Yeah, thank you for the wonderful presentation.
Absolutely. Just trying to stop share. Awesome.
Right. Yeah, it was actually very like inspiring, from the work that you do. Would you like to
Thank you.
I guess reflecting on your work, what are some of the most like important challenges that you've faced, leading a team or like, going and researching about like the unhoused? Like, would you like to,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. Well, that's a good question because you never know if you actually want to be a physician or actually help people until you actually get exposed to it. And
Yeah.
one of the ways that it's actually you can understand the intensity of it is when you work with the underserved population. You see people who are frustrated, you see people who are lost. And so it's really about understanding why you're doing what you do, and you see if you're truly motivated to do what you want to do. And so it's very hard, especially to learn and not only learn, but also lead people who want to learn.
Yeah.
But it's a process that it can work if you're actually interested to do it. And one of the things that was very hard for me was to be prepared physically and mentally during the situations. Because as an undergrad, we're still young people. It can be hard to lead people, especially who are older than you. But by giving them a sense of trust, by making sure that you're gaining their trust and you show them that you actually care about what you do, then I think that's one of the things that our team was so successful at, because then we were able to do what we wanted to do. And that's why we are cohorting more people every day, even more patients, because now we have enough people to serve those in need. And hopefully we can continue using this motivation for future to come.
I guess another question that sparked my mind was, did you ever face any language barriers when you tried to, like, communicate with the patients?
Absolutely, and that's very common in, especially in California, because so many people from different cultures and different backgrounds, and that even though that's great, it can be challenging at times. I myself, not English is not my first language, but obviously one of the things we have to do is to connect with people who can actually help. Now, as a pay for patients, you can't expect patients to know English once they're there. In hospital, it's not a place for them to learn English. But we try to provide translators, or we try to provide programs or representatives from most languages that we have to help those patients in need. Now, the worst case scenario is that I remember there was a patient who was speaking a language, and we didn't have a translator for them. But one of the things we could do in those situations is to use translators on our phones, or representatives, that the best that we can do to help those patients in need.
Mhm.
Um, the last thing you have to do is to be frustrated. It can be frustrating, but that's the last thing you have to do, because the priority is to help those patients in need. So in the beginning, it was challenging, but the more you see, the more cases you see, the more you understand what needs to be done in those situations.
Mhm. Yeah, I guess like, reflecting on this story, what inspired your involvement to be like, considering a career in the pre-med industry, like I guess becoming a physician, what inspired
Becoming for the no, no, that's a great question. That's a question that always comes, that
you?
always they always ask why you want to be a doctor, right? And honestly, whenever was ever since I was a kid, I really wanted to be a physician, because I like the idea of helping people. But
Mhm,
obviously, it's more than that. It's so much more than that. It's so much work. But my true motivation really happened when my mom had cancer around a year ago. And when you're working in a hospital, you see those patients, but in most cases, you don't know these patients. You don't know these people, so maybe you don't personally resonate with them until you actually have parents or family members who are going through it. And the challenges and the problems you see, uh, and the stress and the lack of knowledge about the medicine, especially in the US, all of this makes you think that there are people like me who are actually struggling like that. So we need passionate people who are actually there to actually help those in need. And one of the reasons I actually started this health insurance for homeless population was really to uh, understand who are the some people who actually need help, and that personal problem kind of let me see how important patient experience is. And as a physician, because I know I have the experiences of in terms of leadership or the motivation to help people, that's what I'm trying to do. That's I'm trying to use those skills and experiences to help, not only help people, but also help help those innocents, help those people who actually can help, who actually need help. Because I had people help me when I needed help. So I'm trying to give back to the community by doing the same thing.
wow. Yeah. I guess, drawing from your own journey, what insights would you impart to individuals who want to maybe consider a career in medicine or just, public service?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good question, because that was my question a few years ago when I want to start pre-med. It's a long journey. It's a very long journey, and you require a lot of sacrifices. You need a lot of studying. You need a lot of work, but it's worth it, because you see actual changes in your community. You
Mhm,
see actual changes in your mindset, the people you hang out with. And I feel like once you start seeing those changes in patients, or not even healthcare workers who need help at times, then
mhm,
you'll be like, oh, okay, as a young person, I actually have some power, and I'm trying to use that power to make a change. It's really, that's I think like it's one of those careers that money can't be your main motivation, because the things you have to go through, it's not worth the money you're going to go for. So it's really about the personal motivation and making sure you can build a career that's actually impactful for the whole community as a whole. So um, again, so for anyone who's listening, for anyone who actually wants to go to medicine, it's worth it, but you just need to make a lot of sacrifices. But you see the results every year. And best of luck to everyone who is trying to get into it.
Yeah, I'm also considering being a pre-med student. I'm currently a senior in high school. So,
Yeah,
yeah, like,
that's great. That's great because you're reaching the people who've done this, right? Or people who seeing the challenges. It's definitely doable. And again, from what I know about you, I'm sure you can do it.
thank you.
No
Yeah, I
worries.
guess like as you mentioned, like music therapy and other stuff. So I've been working on research which is just focused on mental health
Yeah.
awareness, like drug abuse and stuff. So
hmm
I guess while you were, going into hospitals and, providing this resource, did you like how dramatic change did you see in the patients? Like I guess, um, and how long was the time period that did you consider like doing some sort of experiment or anything?
Well, the music therapy was an experiment done by the hospital I used to work at.
Hmm.
The main experiment was we've seen changes for some patients, and obviously some patients didn't want us to be involved in musical therapy. But it what was interesting was that we wanted to show patients that we actually care about them,
Hmm.
and in in many of the culture, many of the traditions, mental health is not been taken serious, but it is a serious issue. And recently, we are seeing those changes because physical health is important, but mental health might be as important as physical health. So we've seen changes. Obviously, I'll be honest, I wasn't directly involved in the research aspect, but in terms of seeing the facial expressions, seeing the changes in the mood of patients, I've definitely seen changes.
Wow. Yeah, I completely agree. Mental health is a very important, aspect of, a person's well-being, and it often like gets ignored. Like, I've heard a bunch of like, I guess, stereotypical mindsets where, why do you need a therapist? You can just like work harder. Like, I feel like people like, what are your thoughts on this? Like, I guess,
Absolutely. That's very good question, and to this day that's still an argument.
yeah.
I would say you know it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman or anyone. Basically, mental health is a mental health issue, and if you need help, you need to get help because having different opinions, having hearing from different opinions, especially experts, can actually help you to align your future and your careers. Um, Stereotypes can be dangerous, but you can also use the stereotypes to use it as motivation and to actually help because no one will say anything once you actually become successful. You actually be in the right mindset. No one's gonna talk when you're doing that, right? So do anything if for anyone who's struggling get the help you need. There's, in my opinion, and many pre-med students and many physicians, they don't see this as a problem. There's actually a solution to many of the problems that can occur in future. So, again, best of luck to everyone who's struggling with them. It's definitely possible to treat it. You just have to take the initiatives.
Yeah, definitely. Make sure to utilize your community and resources that are provided to you. There's always someone out there who could help you. So, don't feel free to like,
Absolutely.
yeah, feel free to reach out. I guess um do you have any like specific goals that you hope your service work will, accomplish in over like I guess the next few years?
Yeah, and that's very good. There are two things that I'm currently focused on at this stage. The first one is my hospital at Los Angeles, because I still work here.
Mhm.
Um, I want to cohort more people, and I want more people to start having the mindset that it, it matters to help the underserved population. A lot of people oversee it. A lot of people think it's not a real thing, but it is a real thing. Once you start working here, you'll see those problems. So I hope even after I'm going to medical school, when I'm not a leader of department, the leader of the emergency department anymore, I hope I'm able to train these people in order to be able to lead those who going to be the newcomers in the future to come. And we make sure we coordinate people who are actually motivated and not only want this for their experience, they actually want to use their skills and experiences to help those in need.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, I think we've been doing a decent job, but definitely more can be done the more we get involved. And in terms of the insurance thing that we are talking about, I think this is one of the most recent problems that we are seeing. And so hopefully we see less homeless people, we see less people with problems, and less people with insurance problems, even though that's very hard in the system here, especially in the US. But a lot of things can be prevented if you know what you're trying to do or what you're trying to get yourself into. That's the plan. That's the main goal as a pre-med. There's certain things that we can do in this stage, but even those certain things can actually help those in higher ranking, and that actually might help us in future once we become physicians.
Yeah, definitely. Doing the research beforehand will actually help you define your plan for achieving your goals. I guess,
Absolutely.
yeah. Do you have any last words of advice to share from all of your, I guess, great accomplishments?
Absolutely. Well, here's one thing I always say to everyone who wants to do it, and especially you. Um, don't let people let you down, and don't let people limit your expectations. Doesn't matter what you've been doing in high school. Doesn't matter what you've been doing in first year of college. If you want to be a doctor, it's possible. If you want to be a healthcare worker, it's possible. A lot of people are gonna say you can't do it, or it's too hard, or it's too long. None of that should matter if you're actually motivated, and start building your resume by having an intention. Like what I did, I tried to be a student first, then be a leader. You can't jump like 10 steps just to get where you want to go. It's a process, but trust me that finishing that process can help you to grow not only as a physician, but also as a person. Because
Mhm.
these are the times for us to start transitioning from young teenagers to adults.
Mhm.
So it's very hard. It's challenging, but it's worth it. So don't give up.
Yeah, I agree. Cultivating the right mindset will like make you unstoppable, right? It's gonna have this right energy where you can achieve your
That's true. Well, there are so many ups and downs, but no one can stop you from reaching your goal.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you so much for being here today. We loved your presentation. And yeah, thank you for your words of advice for future pre-med students.
the pleasure is mine. And everyone, if you guys have any question about anything, please reach out to me. I'm very open-minded, and I'm more than happy to get back to those who actually need help because I've been doing the same thing before in the beginning. So, best of luck to you guys, and I'll see you guys around.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.